Have you ever sensed something was wrong, yet couldn't explain why? As if your thoughts weren't entirely your own, as if some invisible hand was guiding your choice. Perhaps you found yourself doing favors against your will, conceding in arguments you should have won, or placing trust in people who later revealed a hidden face. If any of this sounds familiar, this message is for you. Here is the cold truth. You are manipulated every single day. By friends, by family, by leaders, by strangers, by those who know how to pull the secret levers of the human mind. The worst part, you rarely notice it. There is no need for hypnotists or Hollywood mind control. The most powerful manipulation is the kind that convinces you the decision was always yours, that the mistake, if any, was yours alone. Most people live like this, quietly moved like pawns on a board they never chose. And when they try to resist, they feel guilt, anxiety, self-doubt. They have been trained emotionally to own. And if you believe you are immune, stop and think again. That's precisely what a skilled manipulator wants you to believe. This is not a comforting lesson. I will not offer you easy answers. Instead, I offer you tools, because those who master manipulation, as Machiavelli understood, do not need to threaten or shout. They simply observe, learn your patterns, and act. They know what moves you. If you do not, you will always be moved. In this journey, you will learn how manipulation works, how people shape your actions without your awareness, how they set the trap of emotion and quietly tug the strings. You will learn to see your own weak points and protect your side. True freedom is not about doing what you want. It is about knowing why you want it. This is not for the comfortable, the complacent, or the naive. This is a call to those who are tired of being used, blamed, silenced, or conditioned. Here, you will learn how to move from the puppet's place to that of the strategist. But I must warn you, once you see, you cannot unsee. Prepare yourself. What you discover may change the way you see people and the way you see yourself. Part 1. The Theater of Manipulation. How manipulators work. Have you noticed how certain people always get their way, even if they do not deserve it? They don't raise their voices. They don't beg or plead. They persuade. They entice. They make you believe that yielding was your idea. This is not mere charm. It is technique. It is manipulation in its purest and most subtle form. A true manipulator does not act impulsively. They observe. They study your habits, your reactions, your insecurities. They notice when you crave approval, when you fear rejection, when you feel guilt for drawing boundaries. And they use this knowledge. Manipulation begins before the first word. It starts with the reading of your body language, your silences, the music in your tone. Some manipulators use charm, sweetling, flattering, making you feel seen and understood. But behind the mask, there is only calculation. They create an emotional debt and seat you. When someone is excessively kind, your instinct is to repay them, and that is when you begin to surrender. Others use guilt. They play the victim, complain that no one understands them, claim that only you can help. Little by little, they place the weight of their well-being on your shoulders. If you step away, they don't argue with you, just a sigh. A wounded look, a cutting remark is enough. A skilled manipulator rarely asks directly. They make you volunteer. Still others work through fear. They paint catastrophic futures. If you do this, you'll end up alone. If you leave me, you'll never find someone like me. They bind you not with chains but with ideas. They make you doubt your own strength. In this way, you remain trapped of your own will. These are not new tricks. Machiavelli in The Prince described with icy precision how manipulation is a tool of power, He understood that people are moved by interests and emotions, and that those who grasp this shape reality itself. As he wrote, "Men judge more by their eyes than by their hands, for all can see but few can touch." Manipulation is a kind of theater, an emotional spectacle designed to look like reality. The manipulator writes the script, assigns the roles, and makes you act, while you believe the plot is your own. But this drama works only because something inside you allows it. An inner weakness, a silent longing, an unexamined desire. This is where we must go next, to the vulnerabilities that make you a target. For as long as you ignore your blind spots, you will be manipulated by those who call it love, friendship, or respect. Part 2. The weakness that makes you vulnerable. You are not manipulated because you are weak. You are manipulated because you are human. Within every person lies an emotional blind spot, a hidden longing, an old wound, a silent need that acts as an opening. This is where the manipulator enters. They do not force. They listen. They see what you cannot see in yourself. Some of us carry a bottomless hunger for approval. From childhood, we learn to please others just to earn affection. We were taught that love must be earned, that it is a prize for good behavior. Over time, we shaped our words and actions just to be accepted, to be noticed, to belong. This need, this emptiness in the chest, is an open invitation. The manipulator tosses crumbs of validation, and you return with blind loyalty. They say what you wish to hear. In exchange, you surrender your independence. Others carry a heavy burden of guilt. They feel guilty for saying no, for putting themselves first, for building boundaries. Somewhere along the way, they learn that self-care is selfish, and self-sacrifice is a virtue. And so, even when their soul cries out that something is wrong, they remain silent, afraid they will seem ungrateful, cold, or harsh. The manipulator knows this guilt well. They present themselves as a protector, a friend, someone who only wants what's best for you. But soon, your choices become guided by their standards, and your morality is twisted by their agenda. There are also those haunted by fear, fear of rejection, fear of loneliness, fear of being forgotten. Such people cling to any connection, even toxic ones, simply to avoid facing the void within. The manipulator offers the illusion of safety, only to threaten to take it away. They make you feel that without them, you are nothing. And you believe it, because your fear already whispered that to you long ago. All of these vulnerabilities have roots. They are the echoes of childhood wounds, silent traumas, the quiet programming we inherit from those before us. As long as you do not see these wounds, they remain unguarded doors, and those who approach with a smile and hidden motives will always know how to find them. Machiavelli understood this. Real control does not require force, only a deep knowledge of human weakness. He wrote, "The nature of peoples is variable, and while it is easy to convince them of one thing, it is difficult to hold them in that conviction." The manipulator does not convince. They fill empty spaces. They settle wherever awareness is lacking. But there is a way out. You need not remain emotionally predictable. You can learn to see the gaps and seal them shut. Only then will you stop being an easy mark and start living with clarity. This is what we will uncover next: how to build real emotional armor and become immune to manipulation. Part 3. Psychological shielding. Building emotional immunity. Most people wish to stop being manipulated, but few are willing to pay the price for emotional freedom, brutal self-awareness. For the truth will set you free, but first, it will wound your illusions. The first illusion you must break is the belief that being good, empathetic, and understanding protects you. It does not. In fact, when these virtues are not balanced by wisdom, They make you an easy prey. Developing emotional immunity is not about becoming hard or cold. It is about waking up. It means stopping your automatic reactions to the emotional triggers that manipulators exploit. The first step is to recognize your own patterns. Pause. Observe what makes you cave in. Is it the fear of disappointing others? The anxiety of rejection? The urge to keep the peace at all costs? Once you know what moves you, you can change the game. The second step is to cultivate what Machiavelli would call strategic detachment. You must learn to observe situations without instantly plunging into them. Do not treat every compliment as absolute truth. Learn to see when someone is steering you with emotion, and take a moment to think before reacting. Manipulators depend on your emotional urgency. They need you to feel, not to think. So, think. The third step is to become unpredictable. Manipulators rely on your predictability. They study your responses, mapping every move. If they cry, you comfort. If they flatter, you soften. If they pressure, you surrender. Your defense is to break the pattern. Say no when they expect yes. Disappear when they expect you to insist. Remain silent when they crave confrontation. This disrupts their script, forcing them to reveal their real intentions. Another essential pillar is to build a solid sense of self. The more you know who you are, the less you need to prove it, and the less power others will have over your mind. Manipulators thrive on shaking your self-image, making you doubt, question, and second-guess yourself, always in the service of their agenda. But when your inner vision is clear, their influence fades. Understand this is a lifelong practice. Emotional immunity is not built in a day. It comes from daily self-observation, from resisting the urge to please, from standing by your choices even when it makes others uncomfortable. Remember, you owe nothing to anyone but your mental integrity. In a world where everyone is playing psychological games, simply standing firm in your truth is an act of quiet rebellion. Machiavelli wrote, "Men must be either pampered or destroyed, for if you merely offend them, they will take revenge." Harsh as it sounds, it reveals an uncomfortable truth. In the arena of power, there is no neutrality. Either you master the emotional field, or you will be mastered by it. But what if the manipulator is someone close? A parent, a partner, a friend, a boss? How do you break free when you cannot simply walk away? In the next part, we enter the hardest battlefield, manipulation within your closest relationships, and how to escape even when the chains are woven of love. Part 4. When the manipulator is too close. Family, relationships, and work. It is easy to speak of manipulation when the manipulator is a stranger. The real challenge appears when the one who pulls your strings is someone you love. A parent, a partner, a friend, or a boss who once offered you an opportunity. In these cases, manipulation becomes more subtle, more dangerous, and more painful. It wears the mask of affection, loyalty, or tradition. Out of fear of losing the bond, you become entangled in a web that quietly drains your clarity, your strength, your very identity. The manipulator who is close does not need to lie. They distort. They do not need to shout. They insinuate. They do not stop you from choosing. Instead, they make you feel guilty for choosing what they do not approve. Over time, you find yourself walking on eggshells, avoiding conflict, constantly anticipating their reactions just to keep the peace. And without noticing, you become a prisoner inside a cage built of emotion and invisible rules. In a romantic relationship, this can wear the disguise of love. I do this because I love you. Without you, my life has no meaning. But love that demands obedience is not love. It is emotional blackmail. In families, it is dressed as duty and tradition. You cannot do this to your mother. You owe us respect. But respect that is given out of guilt is not respect. It is just another kind of control. At work, it appears as loyalty. You must be grateful. Who else would give you this chance? But gratitude used as a weapon is pure manipulation. Here is the core truth. Closeness does not justify emotional violation. Love does not give anyone the right to shape you with fear or guilt. To break this cycle, you must first accept something difficult. Not every relationship with affection is healthy. Not everyone who claims to love you knows how to love without control. Not every bond is meant to protect you. Some exist only to prevent you from growing. So how do you act? Begin by setting boundaries, clear and steady, with no need for apology or lengthy explanation. A calm, firm no carries more strength than 1,000 justifications. Then comes exposure. Say what you see, what you feel, and what you will no longer accept. Not to change the other person, but to reclaim yourself. And finally, stand your ground when the backlash comes. Because it will come. Insults, guilt-tripping, the silent treatment. The manipulator feeds on your hesitation. They test your limits, hoping you will retreat. Here is a reality most avoid. Sometimes, true love means letting go. It means stepping away from the toxic dance and allowing the other person to face their own emptiness. As long as you stay, trying to rescue, explain, or justify, nothing will change, except you will lose yourself. This is a hard path, but a necessary one. Only those who break free from toxic bonds develop the sight to see behind words, behind masks, behind the surface. With this new vision, you are ready for the next lesson. How to apply Machiavelli's timeless wisdom in a world that constantly seeks to influence you. Part 5. Machiavelli's thought applied to modern life. Niccolò Machiavelli never wrote to win approval. He did not care for appearances or moral niceties. His loyalty was to reality itself, raw and unvarnished. The kind of truth most people wish to ignore. If you wish to survive, unmanipulated, in today's world, you must learn to think as he did, with clarity, strategy, and a cool detachment. We live in an age of constant manipulation. Social media, marketing, politics, religion, even friendships and families. Everything is based on influence, image, and narrative. Those who do not understand this are swept away by it. Machiavelli saw people as creatures driven by interests and emotion. He believed that those who understand these drives can shape the world. He wrote, "Men in general judge more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can touch. Perception, not truth, moves the world. Whoever controls the story controls the decisions. Whoever shapes the image shapes the influence. Whoever masters the mind does not need to raise their voice to command." What does this mean for you? First, you must stop living on emotional autopilot. Machiavelli rejected the idea of a universal morality. He believed in context. What is virtue for one may be foolishness for another. What appears noble in theory may be ruinous in reality. Kindness without discernment is foolishness. Honesty without timing is self-sabotage. Endless giving without boundaries is a form of self-destruction. If you seek freedom, you must learn to play the game, and play it well. Start by observing people as Machiavelli observed princes d'Estis. Do not listen to what they say. Watch what they do when they think no one is looking. Evaluate actions, not words. Study patterns, not excuses. Place your trust not in promises but in motives hidden beneath the surface. Above all, do not react, anticipate. The manipulator is always strategic. Your best defense is to be one step ahead. Use silence as a weapon. Most people make the fatal mistake of revealing too much. They speak too quickly, explain too much, show their emotions too openly. The Machiavellian knows that silence convises, commands respect, and disrupts the manipulator's rhythm. When you refuse to react as expected, the game collapses, and in that emptiness, you gain control. Another lesson: master the art of ambiguity. Machiavelli taught that to keep power, one must know how to appear virtuous without always being so. In the modern world, this means adapting your tone and presence to your environment without losing your essence. You need not reveal yourself fully. Show only what is needed to guide perception. The rest is your secret, for real strength lies in what is hidden. Most importantly, take responsibility for your own mind and feelings. The manipulator feeds on your instability. They need your doubt, your faith, your hesitation. When you know yourself, regulate yourself, and remain steady under pressure, you become untouchable. Machiavelli wrote, "The prudent man follows in the footsteps of those who have excelled, so that even if he cannot equal them, at least he will resemble them." Use the wisdom of those who mastered the game, so you no longer play the role of a pawn. Part 6. Control your mind or others will control it for you. Now we arrive at the most important truth, and perhaps the hardest to accept. As long as you do not fully command your own mind, someone else will command it for you. And it will not always be a villain in the shadows. Sometimes it is the smile of a friend, the gentle word of a parent, the memory of a lesson you learned as a child. Sometimes it is society itself, shaping you from birth to obey, to yield, to fit in, and to stay silent. Manipulation does not exist only in the words and tricks of others. It is woven into the thoughts you never dare to question. It is hidden in the emotions you mistake for absolute truths. It hides in the decisions you call your own, though they were planted by fear, guilt, or the need to belong. Freedom begins the moment you stop calling your conditioning free will. But this kind of freedom requires sacrifice. You must shatter the illusion that everyone means well. You must let go of the image that you must always be agreeable, always be giving, always be available. You must learn to sit with the discomfort that comes from saying no. You must endure the silence that follows when you set a boundary. You must accept the loneliness that sometimes comes with breaking away from those who do not serve your highest good. You become impossible to manipulate, not when you harden your heart, but when your clarity is greater than your hunger to please, when you are more committed to your own mind than to anyone's approval. It is in this clarity that you discover a new power. To look the manipulator in the eyes, whether they are a parent, a partner, a boss, or even an old version of yourself, and calmly say, "No more." What will you do with this knowledge now? That no one can answer but you. You can return to your old patterns, pretending you did not see the strings. Or you can begin today to observe, to resist, to rebuild. You can become the person who will not bow to emotional blackmail, who sees through the masks, who stands firm even as the world wavers. This is not a journey for the faint of heart. It is a road of vigilance, of self-honesty, of constant learning. But every step you take is a step away from darkness, a step closer to true freedom. As Carl Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Do not let fate, written by others, become your story. Now I ask you, when did you first realize you were being manipulated? What moment woke you up? Or do you still find yourself trapped in another's web? Share your story below. Because the first act of breaking the cycle is to speak your truth. If this message opened your eyes, do not stop here. Keep questioning, keep learning, and above all, keep climbing. For truth does not only set you free, it transforms you. And in that transformation, you become unbreakable. See you on the next step of the journey.